Hi everyone, nice meeting you, Stefano with Lapitec. While we wait, if there's some more people coming in, we can start a little bit with understanding if you know Lapitec. Does anyone here already know the brand that we are going to show, and the information about the sintered stone, or is it all new for you guys? All new? Good, good. Same? Nice. So the idea here is to introduce you to a different material category. So we're not talking about a ceramic, we're not talking about engineered stone, we're not talking about engineered quartz or material like those. This is a different material category. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and what you can do with this type of material too. So to start, there's a lot of slides. I'm going to breeze through some of them, but I want to go to the juicy part, what the material actually is and what you can do with this type of material. So let's start from where the material is coming from. It's an Italian material, and it's an Italian man-made material. We are a company that is actually based out of Venice. So it's kind of nice when you come to visit the company, because in half an hour you can actually go to Venice, which is never a bad place to go, I will say. It's a company that sits on the shoulder of a giant, which is Breton. So as you know, Breton, one of the leading company here worldwide for machines for working stone, ceramic, and engineered quartz. The inventor of the engineered quartz, they also invented Lapitec more than 20 years back. So what they decided to do is very simple. They wanted to create a natural material that was coming from a machine, which seems like it's not possible, but we're going to tell you a little bit of why. So what you see here, the pointer is okay. What you see here is the original history of Lapitec. So the first lab that we created. These are back from 1999, so it's been there for a while. We started by creating slabs through a process that we decided to patent. So Lapitec as a brand has 25 patents. They go through the material to the actual creation of the material. So how we produce the material is a patent, the mineralogy of the material is a patent, and we're going to go through some of those. Technology-wise, let me just go directly here. Technology-wise, our engineers were able to create something that, as of 2 weeks ago, I'm not joking, 2 weeks ago, has been recognized by the European Union as a different material category. Meaning that we were going at the European level and saying, this is not a ceramic, this is not another type of material, this is something unique, this is a different composition. So a process that, as you know, we Europeans are very fast, took 10 years. We are finally recognized as the only sintered stone with a CE marking as sintered stone. So it's a unique material. What is this material though? So what we do is that we take this. Any geology freak like me that likes a little bit of geology? I'm the only one. I know I'm the nerd, so no. So what you have here is mostly feldspar mineral, which are going to be your harder part of a granite. So if you think about granite has different minerals within itself. Some of those minerals are called feldspar. Feldspar are very hard, dense, and durable minerals that are part of what you find in granite, what you can also find on some quartzites, like the Brazilian quartzites. What we do is that we extract those minerals out of granite, we create a powder, and then we work that powder to create shapes and slabs. The way we do it is summarized in this slide. There's a lot of tests, it's nothing too crazy, but we fuse those minerals. We fuse those minerals at incredible high temperature, as you can see, 2900 Fahrenheit, extremely high temperature. You're basically looking at a process that is very similar to the one of the aluminum, and the metals when they actually create sort of a lava out of that. We purify the minerals that we get through the system, and this actually helps us achieve something unique. Complete color control on the material that we get without adding any color, just by using the raw minerals. This is the first one. The second one, extremely important, this material becomes completely silica-free. There's no silica content in Lapitec. So you have a slab that has a 0% content of silica, which, as you know, if not used properly, can be harmful to the fabricators and the people that are working with this material. After that, we recrush all those minerals that we just purified, and we form them into slabs to extreme high pressure in a vacuum space, which is the patent that Breton created for Lapitec. So we completely press the material in a vibocompression moment that really help us take out all the air bubbles that are inside. The material becomes so dense that its porosity is lower than basically any porcelain that you can find here and worldwide. Then comes the sintering process. Sintering, as you probably know, simply means firing the material to a certain level. We fire the material at 2200 Fahrenheit, and what happened at that level is that the material doesn't completely fuse together, but sinter together, which is just a level below the complete fusion of the minerals. So you have slabs very dense, and that we can actually work on the surface, as you can see here. And we work the surface of the material exactly as you will work your marbles, your granite, your quartzite. So you can take a slab of Lapitec and work it on the surface, whatever you want. Do you want to sandblast the material? You can. Do you want to do whatever type of finish on top of the material? You can. It's like working with a natural stone. That's the important thing here. Let's go into details about the material, okay? So, like I mentioned, we use raw minerals. The technology that we have actually permit us to do what you can see here, to use those minerals to create veins within the slab that go completely through the thickness of the material. So if I am to carve the material, to do different inlays, you will always see what you see on the surface. There's no printed surface, there's no added color. This is the material through and through, from top to bottom. That's what you have. This actually helps if you're working the pieces in the same way that you will work a natural stone, or in another way also an engineered quartz. You can work the surface on that case too. So as you can see here, those tones, those kind of sparkly, cloudy dots of grayish and brownish, they can actually go through the entire material. Because of this characteristic, because of the fact that it's a powder of granite at the end of the day, it's a powder of natural minerals, what we have is a very hygienic and scratch-resistant material. No, it's chemical resistant. This is not, the mix that we get to a certain level because we don't want to have any problem that you might have with some other materials. For example, as you know, marbles, travertine, limestone, they're incredibly beautiful material, but if I put some lemon juice, some wine, they might create a patina, there's a chemical reaction that occurs there. I'm Italian, so I like that. I'm okay with that. But some clients, as you know, they don't. So a solution like this one doesn't have this sort of problematic because the mix is definitely not containing any of those minerals. It's very easy to clean, like I said. It's heat resistant, which is very important. Frost resistant, we're going to go into details about it, and green and UV stable. To me, it's important that the message goes that UV stable means that if I can put it outside, if I can do flooring, if I can do a facade, the tone that you see right now is the tone that you will see in 20 years. Why this is important to us? Because we don't add any color. We don't put any color on top. We don't put any color in the mix, which actually means that the stability is given by the color of the mineral themselves. So to go more into details of the product, this is where I'm going to go very fast, guys, because I just realized I have half an hour or something more, and there are a lot of technical details that we can go after. You can actually ask me whenever you want if you have any question on this. So product-wise, big slabs. Out of those big slabs, you can actually do any cut to size, but this is not dissimilar to any other products that companies are presenting here. What is interesting here is that we have two collections, the Senza collection and Musa collection, so pure tones from pure white to pure black to different tones, and the Musa collection, which is the one with the veins going through. Finishes, like I mentioned, without going into details of the finishes, just keep in mind that if you can do a finish on a natural stone, you can do it on a Lapitec slab too. So commercially speaking, yes, we have certain finishes available, but every finish is actually possible to achieve to a level that we can actually get to a very coarse, like R13 level of slippery resistance, like with the arena finish. Application-wise, where you can use a granite? Everywhere. So where you can use this material everywhere. At the end of the day, that's what it is. That's the story of this material. We wanted to take out the minor imperfection that granite could have, not imperfection, but natural characteristic like the porosity. There's a porosity there, the different pigmentation. In this case, we created pure tones, as you can see here, that can go perfectly well with any kitchen. Absolutely no problem with that. Why you can choose a material such as Lapitec for this? First of all, if it's white, it's white. It's going to be a full white. If it's black, it's going to be a full black. There's not going to be shading. It's a tone that is pure from top to bottom. So we are not hiding anything. You can actually work the surface of the material, see the material going through without any problem on that. Those are some technical characteristics of the material. We're going to go into more details, but what is important is that by itself, by what we do, is extremely fireproof. You can put a hot pot on top of the material like Lapitec because you're not going to have any resin binders. You're going to only have minerals that are very resistant for this type of application. Another important application is outdoor kitchen worktop. So you can do a barbecue top, you can do whatever type of application on outdoor, it's not going to have any problem, especially if you're looking, for example, in an area where there's sea salt. It's not going to create any problem to the material. It's not going to scratch the material either, which is very important. So kitchen cladding, we mentioned that if you can work it like you would work a natural stone, you can actually do whatever type of edging detail on this material without having any specific problem, apart from finding a fabricator that will work with you, or if you are a fabricator, depending on the capability of your team. Very important is that it's a material that can be used in more kind of complex type of applications. For example, in this case, you are seeing, does it work this? No, it doesn't work that much. But you can actually see that in this case, we have a solution where underneath the Lapitec slab, you have a cooler basically, that is making the temperature very low on the surface of the material. You have a charging station under that. I meant there? No, it's not working on the TV, but whatever. But you have a charging station for the phone, for example. We work with a lot of kitchen brands. I'm not going to mention all of them, but there's different ones. If you actually going to come visit us at our booth, we have one of those brands, Denver, partnering with us for the show. Bathroom application, if you can do it in the kitchen, if it's a very hygienic solution, you can actually use it for applications such as this one too. No problem in terms of any acidity that you can have or every type of application that you can use. You can do some interesting, let me just go there, it's going to be, here we go. You can do some interesting applications. So this is, who doesn't have a yacht, okay? I have two. I came here with one, and then I go back in Italy with another one. Easy. Everyone has it. Now, this is my marketing manager. He loves it. He doesn't have a yacht, but he loves it. So he wants to put yacht everywhere. So but the concept stands. It's not because of the yacht. The concept is you can use it on a boat. You can use it on a very salty water. You can use it in a harsh condition of water, in harsh condition of weather. It's not going to have any problem. It's not going to have any deterioration, independently on the finish. There's some materials, they might have some problem if they're polished, if they're not. This material doesn't have any problem independently of the finish. So something else that we do is pools with this material. So like I mentioned, no problem with water. So you can actually see a very cool project here where just by changing the finish of the material, the tonality is not going to change. So you can actually do all the patio outdoor where all the chairs are. You can actually go inside of the pool with the stairs, and you can actually do all the corner parts too, with cutting the material in different shapes. I'll tell you already, it's a slab material, so we don't do curvature or things like that. You can cut the material to achieve that, but it comes in slab. That's what this material does. This, for example, is an interesting shot. For example, you have a beautiful solution of the material going into the pool with those stair parts there, which is kind of interesting. The place is nice too, so I think It would be nice. An indoor spool, for example, no problem with humidity, no problem with absorption of water. There's no absorption of water with a material such as this one. Another interesting thing that we're doing a lot of Europe. Is actually becoming more and more popular in the US, and I don't know if any one of you is interested in this. We do ventilated facade with this material. So big panels, or even these smaller shapes that you can see on this beautiful building here. Residential houses, you see there's a big panel of Lapitec here. It's actually mounted with a system like we have here. As you know, you can do undercut systems. Are you familiar with the facade world a little bit? Long story short, you just need a way to hang a slab on a frame. So what we do with Lapitec, we do different systems. The classic rivets, so you can actually create holes and then adhere the slab through those hook. Or you can do undercut holes that they will not show anything on the face of the material and still hold the material in place independently on where it is. Outdoor flooring, big for Lapitec, because you can actually do something like that, big color tones, going outside, having very good slip resistance without having any problem if the temperature goes too high or too low. Interesting enough, being Italian, we do some crazy stuff sometimes. So what we decided to do, for example, in this project is that even the roof is made with Lapitec slabs. So it's adhered in the same identical way that you will adhere a facade, but the system works perfectly because you're not going to have any problem with decoloration or problems that will occur through time using a material such as this one. Living areas, we spoke about kitchen, we spoke about bathroom. Living areas, absolutely a great solution for Lapitec. Indoor flooring and outdoor flooring, again, very important application for a material such as this one. You might ask, if it's a slab material, how do you do something like that? How do you do all the flooring? So we partner with our distributors, we partner with our fabricators into cutting to size the material, being able to create beautiful shapes and beautiful sizes. With a material like this one, you're not limited to the sizes that are coming, with other materials that you have, your 24 by 24, whatever. What we can do here is that you can actually create your own size as long as it stands within the limits of the slab itself. Interesting enough, we spoke about what you can do outdoor. You can exactly do the same here. You can do even indoor stairs and those beautiful wall accents that you can see. And furniture indoor and outdoor. We mentioned that you can do tabletops. You can definitely do furniture too. Different companies that we work to even outdoor, I will say. But what is important to me is that you kind of understand the versatility of this material. That's why I mentioned the importance of this dialogue with natural stone. So let's go very fast because I know that time is kicking. So some quirky stuff that we can do with this material. So whatever I can do with a stone, I can do it with Lapitec. To an extent, and I'm a stone guy, now I'm gonna kill myself a little bit, but sometimes even better. What I mean by that? I mean that some details that you can do with a material that is so dense and doesn't have porosity means that you can be very precise in the design that you want to achieve, especially if you're going to details that are very thin and delicate like the one that you can see here. It's important that we can use this material to create some unique features. For example, such beautiful details, very subtle, without having any problem with the material cracking or creating any problems, if worked properly. Obviously, every material can have problems if it's not worked properly. It's actually translucent, as you can see in the picture in the middle, in the bianco assoluto, which is our whitest tonality that we have. You can do recesses. Actually, there's a beautiful part of that in our showroom in the booth. And like I said, touch commands that we were talking about before. So I'm going to go into details a little bit about why this material is different from other materials. Now I'm talking material categories. I'm not doing any trash talking on other brands or whatever. I'm talking material categories here. So it's written very small. So I'm gonna try to read what it is. So it's an antibacterial material because within the mix we add what we call a biocare, which is a treatment that doesn't need to be redone, doesn't need to be sealed. This material doesn't need all those treatments. That actually makes the material antibacterial. You're not going to have growth of bacteria and mold on top of Lapitec slabs. The second one is the heat resistant. It's a material that can withstand the heat of a hot pot, for example, because there's no resin within the material. It's a material that is very scratch resistant. Like I mentioned, if the mineralogy that we have is coming from the hardest part of a granite, that's basically the same moss scale that you achieve with Lapitec. It's resistant to acids, we mentioned that before. It's non-absorbent. I think I said that 10 times before now. It's a full body material. That's why you can have those beautiful veins going through. It's silica free. It's becoming such an important topic, like I mentioned before, and we are true believers that our material has a characteristic that is definitely important for all the fabricators and distributors that are working with our material. Is resin-free, like I mentioned, it's binded by the mineral themselves. It's a syntherization of mineral. It comes in different finishes, absolutely, and it can be used outdoor. So it checks all these boxes. I chose the boxes, so it checks them all, I know. But you can understand that these are important information to consider when you're selecting a material or not. We like to say that Lapitec kind of sped up the processing of natural creation of materials. So what we do is not too dissimilar to what happens in nature, because we basically take minerals, heat, very important pressure, and then the material comes out as it is. Let me see how we're going in timing. That's good, nice. So it's a very versatile material, like you guys saw before. I want to talk a little bit about the sustainability aspect of this material, which is going to be kind of important to us. It goes to show that if it's a material that is 100% mineral, that I don't add any resin, I don't add any color, I don't do anything crazy with it, by itself is a very easy material to dispose of, for example. You're not going to have any problem, you're not going to have any chemical. The life cycle of this material is definitely important too. The fact that it doesn't have any cavities, large formal, is very durable, is definitely important because you're not going to go in to replace this material. This is a material that you can put outside, it's going to remain the same until you want to change it because you're bored of the color and you want to do something different. We talk about the resistance of the material. Now I'm getting hungry seeing something like that. It's very hygienic, high performance of the material. That's why one of the most common uses of Lapitec is in pools, for example. And in terms of green vision, what is very important to me, silica-free, I mentioned it multiple times, but especially, it's a material that can work with your architect and your designers in projects because you can actually use it for lead projects, the Livability Challenge program. You can use the material using the different certification that it holds. So you have your EPD, you have your LCA, absolutely. It's NSF approved, it's a material that doesn't have any problem with contact of food. Green Guard and Green Guard Gold also, and the VOC emissions are definitely non-existent. I'm basically getting at the end, so let me just go fast on this. Services, what Lapitec can do for you guys. What we can do is that, like I mentioned, we believe that material is going to be the same, so we have a 25 years guarantee on this. We have a service of academy. There are people from Lapitec that travel around the world, going to fabricator shops and actually training on how to cut the material such as this one. It's not the easiest material to cut, it's not the most difficult material to cut, but as every material, you need to know what you're doing. We have a technical department, and we have a lot of fun stuff. I'm going to just go very fast, because these are some regular application. I just want to focus on two that we just recently finished. Starting from this. The latest terminal of Hong Kong airport is 80,000 square feet of Lapitec slabs on the flooring with this beautiful inlay that are done with brass. So you're looking at a Lapitec slab and some brass inlay to create this beautiful sort of shiny, goldish effect. Gigantic terminal, very important for Lapitec, but the most important thing, especially here in the US, is that Penn Station, as you know, in New York is almost done. It's been almost done for a while, but now it's really almost done, and Lapitec has been selected for all the columns, as you can see there, and all the segways, all the patterns that you see when you're going directly to the tracks on the black and also on the white. Also, this project is gigantic, as you can imagine. You know, it's the biggest project we've done here in the States, and it's basically a testament to the fact that if you can use a material where 1 million people go through these tunnels and still clean it and still have no problem, it means that it's definitely a safe and sound option. Think I made it in time, did I? I did. Question right away, super. How long do I think it's going to last? Absolutely.
Okay.
No, we put 25 as a number, you know, because we wanted to make sure. Actually, because the material, the company, has been there for probably 26 years, if I consider from the very beginning.
All right.
Yeah.
Another thing also, is there a point where you may be able to bring that material like cement and pour it in place, like cement? That would be a great step forward for you.
Well, the thing is that if I have the powder of the material and I want to make sure that there's no porosity in it, I need to press it very, very, very at an incredible high pressure, and that will actually help to suck out all the air that is within the material. You're gonna still have porosity. You're gonna still have porosity issues, which is a big deal for a material that you need to submerge and put in water and use it in an application like this one. Any specific question you guys might have?
What thickness do you get to start getting translucent? The thickness. So for you to get the translucent
Good
material.
question. So 12 mil, your half inch, actually is translucent on that thickness. If you go thicker, which is 20 or 30 millimeter, which are the other thicknesses that the material comes, you might see something, you know, in the 20 mil, but not more than that. And we're talking about the purest white that we have, the Bianco Assoluto. If you want to do it on the black, it's not going to work. Yes. Good question. Yes. On those collection, the vein collection, you can actually have a little bit of translucency going through. Absolutely, yes. Please.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You mentioned that there's no silica in it. Did you mean that there's no crystalline silica or also no amorphous silica?
There's no silica in general, so no amorphous crystal, no... Okay, so in general, we completely avoided the silica content independently of what type of silica.
Good question. Hey.
The microphone is winning.
So you talked about the veining going all the way through, and I know when you guys first launched, you had kind of what I would call very subtle veining, and then slowly it's gotten a little bit more pronounced, and now you have kind of a dramatic veining. Is that veining technology something that you guys have been developing, and is it like equipment related, and how are you able to create that veining where others can't? Is it Breton roots and technology, R&D?
Yeah, I mean, I know you could have got a good question, but it's a very good question, and I'll tell you why. The company, like I mentioned, Breton, that is the founder of Lapitec, they've been developing vein technologies for engineered quartz for 50 years now. So that know-how was taken from there and expanded on a material that doesn't have any resin binder to hold everything together. So with that technology, you know, we started probably, to expand that vein collection, we basically started 5 years ago in a certain way, but we reached a level where robots are putting minerals within the base of a white, for example, and still, when we bind everything together, the air is not actually getting, in between the vein that we create and the base of the material. So, long story short, it all comes down to having 300 engineers in a company that they develop a technology that is unique in the world at the moment. Yeah, sorry.
I was wondering about the silica. You are totally segregating it out of the granite. Means it's totally out of the granite. What you are.
It's a good question because you're completely right. I mentioned granite multiple times, but I mentioned granite multiple times because I mentioned the feldspar content of a granite. We know silica is 40% of a granite, okay? So what we do is that we do not take that part of the granite, the mix that we create, and the temperature that we bake the material. If there's still a minor percentage of silica, by baking the material at 2900 Fahrenheit, it completely dissipates. If there's still some. But it all comes down from the beginning phase of pre-selection of the minerals. So that what we do, those are the minerals that we get. Those feldspar. Everything else that is in there, if it's a minor quantity that does remain there, firing process will completely deteriorate what's left of the silica content.
So there are other means like we have in petrology, we've got all the other minerals like besides feldspar, there are others of the same hardness like microcline or.
Yeah.
So you are using those also means if you are.
Yeah. If you remember.
Yeah,
It's going to take me forever to get to the slide, but if you remember
had,
there were some
minerals,
others, that they have a content of silica too, but because of the process that we do, we basically take out that part of the composition.
Okay.
Yes. No, so I'll come down and I'll answer to you because I think they want me to. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. How's it, the silica free different than the bio quartz coming into the market now? Is it similar?
It's a very similar concept, It's at the end of the day, it's the same group that is doing those two things, But it's a similar technology. On the bio quartz, you still have a content of resin. In our material, resin is not there. But the base, the concept, the idea is exactly the same as of the bio quartz. It is. Thank you.